And I mean, let's roll right into that next one where we got Kevin Aguilar and Tucker Lutz. Now, Tucker Lutz is a guy that got featured on our, a little late May prospect watch. If you haven't checked that out, feel free to do so. It's got a top 10 for, the fighters to look out for in the next couple of weeks here as we close out May. But Tucker Lutz came in on that list, and I think for good reason. He reminds me of a really raw Jimmy Rivera. He likes to use the boxing, getting close. And what's funny about his boxing is I felt like he likes to use the clinch like a real boxer. Like when he feels any kind of danger, he's really good at wrapping you up real quick if he's not getting his combos off. And I think even more than a guy like Rivera, he actually uses his wrestling a lot more. I felt like in the back-to-back Dana White Contender Series fights, you saw him kind of impose his will. Now, funny enough with him, you kind of saw the power a lot more before he kind of jumped into, the bigger pond with guys that are fighting for, bigger shots of the Dana White Contender Series. And the thing about those kinds of fighters, if you can't land big early, you really want to see them being able to impose their will in a different way come later rounds. And I don't feel like he gasses very much. I think that he looks really good, especially for the type of style that he has. I think he's kind of thick, right? Like he wants to be on top of you. And I think he's a hard guy to get off you. Some of those smaller guys who can kind of be really close in and kind of control that gravity real well, they're always a little bit harder to get off you than some of these lankier guys who might have to use limbs to stay on you. But I think that in this case, he's going to be looking for a lot of that close in work and get some of that boxing off, dirty boxing. If he can't get in, he's going to use that clinch, things like that. But, let me get into a guy like Kevin Aguilar a little bit, because I think he proved a lot in that Charlie Rosa fight, because in the very beginning, I think that he was able to showcase some of his footwork, sidestepping some of the strikes and dropping Charlie Rosa pretty early. But Rosa's a durable guy, and I think that that's where he shined coming out of that fight. But the big picture there for me was Aguilar was able to kind of do a lot in all areas of the fight. I think that that's going to be the biggest issue for Tucker Lutz is, has he seen a guy yet with this many looks? I think Aguilar proved that his takedown defense is there, and he loves to stand. He's going to be able to use some kicks. And with a guy like Tucker Lutz, man, if Aguilar can keep him at kicking range and use some leg kicks, kick the body, slow him down a bit, I think if it stays on the feet, Aguilar has a really good chance of pulling this one off. I mean, at the same time, it's like they're so well balanced on both sides, and it's like game plan wise, you kind of see both guys being able to win a lot more equally, as opposed to maybe say a Kamaru Usman fight against anybody on the planet. So that's where I'm kind of really enjoying this fight. I think it's a lot closer than maybe even I thought before going into a lot of research. We're talking about 87% takedown defense on Aguilera's side versus the 81, which is a small sample size of 2 Dana White Contender Series fights. But at the same time, I really do believe in Tucker Lutz's ability to grapple and use his clinch work, things like that. So if I'm Aguilera, the game plan is to kind of keep that kicking range distance and piece him up a little bit on the feet with quick jabs and pot shots. I think that he'll win that battle if he can keep Tucker Lutz at bay and frustrate him a little bit, because in previous fights, it's just so obvious that Tucker likes to get in close and really kind of use his wrestling and his clinch work, stuff like that, does damage on the ground pretty well. But, I think Aguilar proved that he's a gamer. So in this case, I'm actually going to say it's really tough to call, but I was leaning Tucker Lutz from an athletic perspective, but then you really, really look at Kevin Aguilar as an overall fighter, and he's a tough guy to bet against just because, you can see him do good things against really good fighters who have that opportunity to be ranked in the UFC. So I'd be shocked if this wasn't really close to a pick'em, or if maybe even Tucker Lutz got an edge of maybe a -140, -150, just because it seems like he has that type of style that people can relate to from a betting perspective. So I'm going to quickly check that guy out. And oh, damn. So, yeah, Tucker Lutz opened up at a -134, and now he's actually moved closer to a -118, -125. So very much a close fight, right? And I think the way we broke down those game plans is how I see this fight going. Aguilar at a +106, dropping down to the minus now, usually at around a -102, -105. Some places still giving you that plus money. So, I mean, if you're a guy that favors those outside fighters and discounts a bit more of those clinch work and wrestling type fighters, I mean, just for some exciting sake, by all means, back Aguilar. But I think this is going to be a tough one to call. Definitely check out Instagram, SookyMMA. That's where I put up my picks on the full fight card. Usually goes up around Saturday, an hour or two before the fights. I know it's a little bit late, but I'll try to get that out a bit earlier. But I like to use the weigh-ins. I like to use as much tape and as much, even media as possible to kind of make that final call, even though it's just a pick 'em. It's not like you're going to bet on every single fight. It's just fun if you're putting in the work to kind of know the fighters that well. And I love this shit more than anything else on the planet. So family and MMA, let's get it.